For those with good taste.
Welcome back, Tasties and Taste Stats, to another movie review. I almost got it wrong again. Wow. This week we're going to be talking about Alex Garland's Warfare. A movie that I will tell you there's going to be a time in my life before I saw the movie Warfare and after I saw the movie Warfare. And that's the way I'm going to perceive things for a while, probably. Yeah. But yeah, let's get into that a little bit. A movie we've both been looking forward to. I would say it's been one of the first ones of the year that's like, that looks really interesting, you know?
As far as anticipated films goes.
Yeah, for sure. And war movies, to me, I think coming out of this movie, there's two types of war movies in my mind.
Okay.
There's like the Hollywood,
the action hero movies,
war movie,
and then the ones that
like show you what war is really like. And as we get into this movie, you can decide for yourself which one we think it falls into, or I at least think it falls into. But it's a genre in general to me that I think either way is successful. Like, I appreciate either way it's done. I think it's generally difficult to mess up like a war movie's, like quality. I think I can't think of too many bad ones in my head that I've really seen. I mean, like, unless, listen, like, I love Behind Enemy Lines. I don't consider Behind Enemy Lines like a war movie, so much as I consider like movies like Black Hawk Down, Saving Private Ryan, whatever, war movies. But I can see it done either way. One of the first things that like sticks out to you though with this movie is the cast. I would say it's a massive cast. Like, I say massive, it's a lot of people. It feels like a lot of recognizable faces.
Coming off of watching 1917, where they intentionally used unrecognizable faces on their main cast. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, in contrast, I didn't even really put that together. But yeah. Like seeing people like Will Poulter, the dude who now is escaping my the dude from Gladiator and Stranger Things, Joe Quinn. Quinn. Him, who's the Asian dude? I knew him and I didn't know why I knew him. Was he the dude who is the runner in the Maze Runner? No, it's not the same guy, I don't think. Why do I know him though?
I don't know. Asian dude?
Was there an Asian dude? Yeah, he was the other dude who takes over when Will Poulter's like, I'm too fucked up to run point any longer.
He's not Asian, is he?
Pretty sure he was.
I know who you're talking about.
Maybe Spanish?
Fuck. I think so, yeah.
Okay. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It happens. Alex Garland, apparently none of these guys had to audition.
You said none of them?
Yeah. None of the main cast had to audition. They were all selected based on interviews that they did with, I believe his name's Ray Mendez and Alex Garland, the director. Okay. The way the story's put together, a couple interesting things I read, actually. So at least everything that you see in this movie is corroborated with at least two people for each point. Each part of everything they show is corroborated with at least two people who were actually there.
Okay.
So like it's made to be as accurate as possible based on the stories that were told. This is based on the what's it called, like the Battle of Ramadi or something like that, which is outside of the war that's considered the most, or the battle that's considered the most bloody.
Ramadi.
The most bloody in history is Fallujah.
Yeah.
But this is what is rumored to be like the second closest, and it's like I forget, it's an absurd amount of soldiers, Middle Eastern soldiers who die, but against only like 40 SEALs. Navy SEALs that are like present in that area. The other interesting thing is everything you see is happening in real time.
Yeah.
Like which I thought was really interesting too.
Yeah.
Like it's all, and then they filmed it all chronologically over a 5-week period.
Okay.
So they basically filmed it in scene by scene order the whole way through. And in order to make like the setting work and for the actors to be able to respond to things appropriately, they just had like giant speakers piping in like loud noises, dogs barking, like all this shit.
Huh.
So that they would respond to the noises that were happening appropriately.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which I think we always kind of talk about like the aesthetic parts of movies. I think a lot because we talk about what draws us in. I think that is definitely one of the standout things. Twofold. The beginning of the movie, there's no score to the whole movie. You only hear music at the beginning and the end. And the beginning, I think, is great because it starts on like such a positive, happy note, and you start like with 5-10 minutes of just like the camaraderie of it all, which I think is perfect because again, going back,
it reminds you there are at the end of the day just people.
Well, it's like the two types of war movies. It's like the Hollywood thing, but then there's the ones that are like showing you what it's really like, and like you get the brotherhood of these dudes, and then you get very quickly are just in the dark, in a in the middle of like shit already, and you don't even really know what the shit is. You're just kind of like there.
Yeah, that was one thing that I by the end of this movie, I didn't know if it was really a pro or a con, that you don't really get a full story to this. You just get that one experience they had. And I think in the end, because I feel it was told so well, I think it's a pro.
I think the other part of that is like, if you really wanted to know, I mean, it's about a war that
actually happened. Yeah. Just
and like it's within most of our lifetimes or like, close to it. So I guess that's why they don't feel like why.
It was just more so like I had questions of like why they were there. Like,
well, so I think the background to some of it though is like the director Alex Garland said this is a love letter to, I forget the gentleman's name, but one of the guys who got hurt.
Something Mendez, right?
I thought that
no, it was Elliot.
Elliot, yes. So it's a love letter to him, right?
Yeah.
And it's because he doesn't remember any of the stuff that happened.
Oh, really?
At all.
Okay.
And I think that like there's a goal here for Alex Garland from like a director standpoint to tell a story about these people, right? Like it's not about the like all the other war that happened.
Yeah.
It's about their story and what they went through in their battle, and like in what again is considered one of the worst ones that happened in that war. Nobody's told their story. So I think that's what it is of like why you don't get all that other surrounding stuff, and it's just really about them, and you're supposed to. And I think the thing that makes this movie, I think for me, one of the most emotionally charged like things, like emotionally taxing movies I think I've watched in recent memory, is like the feel. There's
sense
moments
of realism.
There's moments of real pain. And they said like the whole cast got like matching tattoos, and I think it says like "Call on Me," is what they all got for tattoos. They all had their own code names for each other. Like they all got very close, like throughout the whole process. And I think that like the camaraderie of it that you established just in 5 and 10 minutes here, and then through the early setting of them just in the house together, which I think is also an interesting aesthetic too. Of like so much of this just takes place and is done in a small house, and the stuff that they're able to do, and like what they're able to make out of like just this first floor, essentially this hallway of like of a house is kind of crazy. But yeah, like you're those first initial scenes of kind of meeting everybody gets you to the point where stuff starts happening and people start getting hurt, and the people's responses individually stand out to you, and then how they relate to each other stands out to you. And like when we get to spoilers, there's some particular parts to me that were like very gripping. Like caught me. For the tough thing, I think that, before we get to any type of spoilers, getting into more of like a recommendation standpoint, I guess, is everything about this movie is really, really well done. I thought at every level.
Cinematography, amazing sound design.
Dude, I was going to say, like, this might be the best Dolby I've ever experienced. There's a part in the beginning when the first explosion stuff's going off, that your seat
the very first explosion, I jumped.
Yeah, dude, they're like,
and it's, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's just like, we watch at this point a good amount of like horror movies and stuff, and they have their fair share of jump scares, and those don't really get me. But like this one that I don't even think was intended to be like a jump scare.
Yeah.
It fucking shook me.
The thing about that is, going back to aesthetic stuff, it's like, because there's no score.
Yeah.
The sound in this movie in general, not just explosions, but everything, you feel it, you hear it, like
even what you don't hear.
Yes.
Like,
the absence of
use
sound.
of silence is fucking insane too.
And I think that's why the explosion stands out, because they did such a good job of contrast. And they wouldn't, like, movies now have gotten smart to jump scares too, to where they hold an extra beat, or they hold an extra couple of beats to where you think the jumps, like the you think the explosion's about to happen, but it doesn't, right?
And it gets you right to that second of, oh, maybe it's not going to happen, then it happens.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like, it's just, even, I guess we'll save some of it. But, like, yeah, I thought the sound design was maybe the best Dolby I've ever, like, I can't remember a time my seat is shaken like that, that I felt so much like I was in it. And then the times, whether it's screaming, whether it's just explosions, like whatever it is, the flybys were crazy.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, everything to me, top to bottom in this movie, the acting performances, the realism, the sound, like all of it is pretty much A+ for me. Like I thought it was fantastic. I think the difficult thing for me is I found myself with about 30 minutes left in this movie being like, I kind of want this to be over.
Really?
I was exhausted. I think I am getting old, and I think some of the, like, it wasn't really the gore, but it was like the everything surrounding it.
It was just feeling the gravity of everything. Yeah,
it was just very daunting.
Too much to
yeah, everything was very dark, and I had this one dude in the handicap row with me, and I so badly wished that he wasn't there, because I had to try and man up so much worse on stuff that I would have rather like looked down for a second or like broken like my concentration on. Yeah, I just found myself like,
I don't think I'm that squeamish. Like I definitely was.
But again, I don't think it was like, I think it was just a general uncomfortableness with like the whole thing, because like, again, it was so real. Like, it's just like I found myself being like this stuff, even though I'm watching a movie, there was just so much stuff that I'm like, this is like real, like people, this is what happens to people and shit.
That,
like
that same urge you had to look away was the same thing that caused me to like not want to look away, right?
Yeah,
like, it was just like, fuck, like I'm so locked in. Like, they're doing such a great job at telling this, and I just, how can they keep the same beat of realism the whole way through?
Yeah, no, I again, like, I think that that's the part of it where like I appreciated it like the whole way through, and I think it's a fantastic movie. I just don't know if I'll watch it again ever. Like,
I might.
I don't know if it's like, it's not fun. Like there's nothing fun about this movie to me. Like, there's like moments of levity but
that's mostly just in the beginning.
Yeah, like it's super intense, and I think so. Here's a part of the experience for me. I'm at the movies, right, and the movie's getting ready to start, and I have first of all, it was I already noticed it when I walked in. There was like a coat like over the like rails up above you, you know. Okay. When you sit in those seats. Yeah. And I was like, that's weird. Nobody really ever does that, but whatever. Yeah. But they're just people talking behind me for like the whole trailer's not giggling. It's like 4 people. I think it's a double date. And there's like giggling, like a dude like sneezes and a girl's like dying laughing. Like, you know, like that type of like giggle fest shit going on. And the movie's starting, and it starts with the song and all the fun shit. So it's still light and all of that. And dude, I found when I'm started going through my quick little moment, and I might have been high also. We can always like keep this in mind that like I am probably ripping my pen and like getting in my head about some shit. But I'm thinking about for them, like they're on a double date, having a good old laughing time, giggling.
They have to know the kind of movie they came to see, though.
But you could think you're going to see a war movie. Like you're thinking, again, there's 2 types of war movies.
Yeah, I get
Which one were you going to get? And they might not have known that. That could have been the dudes who are like, oh, there's a sick war movie like in the theaters. Let's go see that, you know? And I just imagined in my head what it looked like an hour into that movie with some of the shit that was happening on that double date. Yeah. And then what it looked like. Because also, so for me, again, I wanted to get out of there. And so I stayed till they ended the end with them playing like pictures and all of that.
Yeah.
Once that ended, I got up. But you know, I could feel the thing in the theater where a movie like that ends. And nobody gets
kind of sat there.
Like I was the only one who left.
Yeah.
I got up so fucking quick. But I was just imagining those 4. Like in my head, they were like the thing in my head was like the 4 of them just sitting there. Like the difference between the beginning of the movie and then like after, it's like they just like went to battle. Like
yeah, like our lives are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they walked out of the theater on this double date, not saying a word to each other, like contemplating shit for a few minutes. Like it's just like what a date movie to end up in that.
Yeah. I mean, with that being said, I'd like to just go right into recommend, don't recommend. So
yeah, 100% passes the taste test. Oh yeah, especially if you're just a fan of good movies. If you're into like war films in general. I think it's going to hit all of those things. Stick around for spoilers if you want to be spoiled, because we're not even talking about yet, I think, some of the best parts of the movie.
Like I think we need to be able to talk in detail to really tell you how and why we would appreciate a movie like this.
Yeah,
but definitely a recommend. Definitely passes the taste test for me.
From what I saw, it was already going to be slim pickings for seeing it in Dolby and IMAX.
I had to go to Assembly for this.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
So I caught it on what I think was the last day of Dolby in South Bay.
Okay.
But if you can still see it in one of those formats, I definitely recommend doing so.
Yeah. I think they had it IMAX in downtown, but I'm not going downtown.
Yeah, well, Danvers was another one, but
yeah.
Just didn't want to do it. All right. So you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Spoiler.
Okay. So I think who do you think was the best acting performance in the movie?
The dude who got his legs blown off.
Those two.
I guess, yeah, technically there is two, but the first one that was conscious.
So Joseph Quinn from Gladiator?
Yeah.
So I think he had the best. There is a scene in this movie that stands out vividly to me that the acting performance in it will resonate with me.
The screams felt very real. It didn't feel Hollywood, if that makes sense, right? Like,
it felt like he was.
It's like I could feel the agony behind those screams.
So all of that, and it builds to this moment that I'm talking about, where like he's been screaming for the better part of 5 to 10 minutes, just in the background of stuff. Like you hear him screaming. It's focusing on other people and what they have going on while he's screaming. Like you just keep hearing him screaming and screaming, right? And then he gets on the comms to call for another evac, and he's like, we have 2 critically wounded. And Joseph Quinn, like it felt so real. A guy being in so much pain that it hasn't registered.
Oh, yeah.
Like what's gone on yet.
He's like, who's the critically wounded?
Yes. And he's like, am I critically wounded? And all of a sudden, all of the pain and everything washed away for just a brief moment. And it's this realization that like, wait, I'm the one who's fucked up. I'm in pain. I'm critically wounded. Holy shit, what's going on right now? And this whole other...
The adrenaline wore off and it just fucking hit him.
A whole other thing starts hitting, and it was just like, in that moment, I was like, that's the realest shit ever. Yeah. And it's so intense because there's that moment also where it's like packing the gauze in and putting his knee down on the wound while he's doing it. And then this dude's going through his own fucking thing where... Like, he's already been the dude in the middle of the street. Well, I'm shocked he didn't get killed because...
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, because he was just...
I thought they were just recovering his body, and then all of a sudden he gasps.
Well, I'm talking about... I'm talking about the dude who kneeled down to put the gauze in on him and stuff.
Okay.
So he's the one who drags in that second guy. But before that, he just is stunned, standing in the middle of the street, staring at his buddy, not moving. And I'm like... How is there nobody just like shooting this dude? Like I thought that was crazy after the IED went off is that they weren't already ready to attack like right after it. There was like a little...
I think there's more mind games that go on rather than taking unnecessary risks.
Yeah. I just thought like if you knew you pretty much had them like dead to rights for lack of a better term at that point.
It wasn't a sure shot with all the smoke too though. Maybe they had limited ammo. Like
they weren't that close yet.
Yeah.
To where they were. We're jumping like really far ahead. I did just want to talk about that Joseph Quinn thing because that's the part that's going to stick out in my mind as far as like the standout moment. And there's a lot of them in this movie, quite frankly. What was the jump scare one you were talking about? Was it the grenade coming through
no, when they had the first evac tank get hit by the RPG?
Yeah, that one because it's pretty quiet. Right up until like that,
because like nothing really popped off until that moment.
Well, and you remember
you had like the little shootout on the second floor. I'm sorry,
a grenade got popped through.
To say nothing popped off. I'm sorry.
That part was awesome, dude. Like the grenade just
nothing felt that severe until that moment. I should say.
Well, yeah, because at that point, the tank's coming in, right, and I'm trying to think. They throw the smoke grenade out, and they have the whole part there where it's like the smoke's coming back into their face, and it's pretty quiet at that point. Like they've intentionally like bring down the noise, and like these guys are all trying to like lock in. There's a lot of dudes going through it. Like there's a lot of dudes. I love that like they didn't have to say anything. They would just give you facial shots on people, and you would just know this dude's not into what's going on right now. And he doesn't want to do any of it.
I think that's the difference of like the Hollywood action movie versus a movie like this. Is like a Hollywood action movie, like they all just have this bravado about them. Whereas like here, it almost seemed more brave, that you could see how genuinely scared they were, but they're still going through it. Well,
it's like, we need to lock in or else like we're not going to see the other side of this. The idea of like the families in the house with them too is crazy. Like keeping them in the house, you feel for those family, like that family too. You totally get the dad just being fucking like, get out. Like, why are you guys still here? Like, what is this shit? My kids are gonna
what the fuck? Like, why my house?
Yeah, like my kids are gonna deal with this forever, you know? Yeah. And it is kind of dumb in retrospect, the like knocking down the wall in the dead of night in quiet. Like I didn't understand why they couldn't go through the top.
There had to have been another entrance, right?
Yeah, I imagine there was like some type of steps up to that. There was like an awning or whatever that they were fighting on top of. Remember? So balcony or whatever. You know.
I mean, that family has to have a way to get into their house. So
so like that was just like you could have waited till the daytime. Maybe there's a little more hustle and bustle, and you knock down a wall or something.
Well, it can't be wait till the daytime. They have to secure the house.
Well, I'm saying go through the other top floor at night when you can sneak discreetly into the upstairs, lock it down.
Neither of us have military training.
No, but even the guy was like, why'd you do it that way? Like, why'd you decide to bang, like knock on a door really loud at, you know, in the middle of the night? Draw all that attention. No kidding, they caught you. But that grenade coming through the wall, like I loved that. Like up to that point, they did these things with the camera throughout it where they would linger on people when like sounds and things were happening. So you always kept waiting for when
reactions and
for when the war was going to happen. And they definitely did a good job through the sniper scope of like, it's one guy. Now it's two guys. Wait, there's a lot more motion happening. Like, and it's like slowly building. And then they're giving you these cues inside the house of them being on edge, of being like, all right, first you see them, like Will Poulter's character in particular, like trying to keep his composure. Yeah. And then it's like subtly like, hey, like things are getting a little hotter here. It's getting a little weird. And then all of a sudden, grenades in the fucking house. Nuts, man. The show of force.
As far as like audio experience, that
crazy
shit was crazy. Yeah,
audio and visual. Like they did such a cool job too of like making you understand what that is, seeing how close to the ground it's going, and like. You're like, well, yeah, that would fuck people up. No kidding. No shit, dude. Yeah. Will Poulter, like his changing of his voice in like commitment to like, he must have had a punctured lung or some shit with the way he was handling
his voice got like super like raspy.
Yeah, he was bleeding from like under this area and he couldn't talk. So it was either broken rib, something with his lung, like, but like, his commitment to like, that's what my voice is going to sound like. Everybody post the explosion. I liked everybody had their own unique way that like, it felt like it wasn't just unique to like, okay, we got to see Will Poulter's character get through this. Or, forgive me, I don't remember his name, but the dude who was doing most of the medical work and kept having those moments where he would stare off into space and all of that. Yeah. Like, you kind of saw how all of them were affected within that stretch, you know, and I appreciated that. Like that's how you make us care about them. Even the two guys that are injured, you're getting moments of both like emotion, levity, like within all of it, you know. And I thought they were able to balance like some really cool stuff, and even more visuals or like sounds. The explosions on the when they had them fire on the upstairs of
tanks.
the building, like that was awesome. This was the other thing, the practical effects that all of this was, the real explosions, those looked like they were firing real tanks.
I'm pretty sure, like, without looking anything up, I'm pretty sure this was all real explosions.
Yeah, like those tank shots.
Just like none of it felt like CGI at
all.
The
two things, like the whole, like that, when they're getting the second group to them, I thought like the simplicity of them just in the streets though, but how open the streets are, and the idea that like these guys they just stay compact, but they're out in the wide open basically, in the way that they're able to protect themselves. It's just like
cover fire,
coordinated.
Moves
Exactly. Coordinated, just constantly shooting so that people can't just pop out and hit you with stuff, and then banking on the fact that everybody's bad shots out there.
Yeah. Basically, your cover fire is not giving them time to aim, so you're hoping they miss too.
Yeah. So like that like whole scene though, like it was quiet, nothing crazy, nobody got hurt or anything drastic, but just like the coordination of that scene looked really cool. Seeing them after the movie when they were showing some of the coordination that they like, how they plotted out the movements and stuff. Like
some of like the like actual like military guys training the actors and like that little like post scene too. Yeah,
exactly. And like showing them like, you'll walk out here, like this is how you would look and all of that. Yeah. Like and these are the movies, like even with the 1917 behind the scenes stuff is always super interesting because there's such a level of training. And I have to imagine also like as an actor, there's few roles that you feel more responsible for like properly giving the commitment
you're
to
preserving someone's memory. So like,
it's also just in general the military. Like if you were going to take on the responsibility of portraying a fake military person in a movie, you're going to give it the physical effort.
The thing is, right, is like not only are you portraying real people, those real people are there on set with you.
Yeah, well, that too, of course, which is only if you're approached the correct way, it's like a great thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to tell you. It's more for character building than it is how you'd actually act. Like, right? It's not like because doing it for cameras is still logistically
just the
different.
fact that they're present makes you want to give it that much more effort.
In telling you their stories, so that when you're acting it out, like you
know where their mindset was. Yeah,
you feel that stuff. And like I think that's maybe the thing is like I felt so impacted is like you feel for the characters, you feel the pain of all the different characters and what they're going through.
Okay, so. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like as far as like how crazy it was, right? Like we talked about like how crazy like the visuals were in like 1917, right?
Yeah.
That first RPG on the first tank, right? And like they all get fucked up. Like one of the like Iraqi interpreters that was there with them, blown to bits in the middle of the street. And for the next hour of the movie, blown to bits in the middle of the street.
No, his foot was there at the very last shot.
Yeah.
Like pretty much.
And it's just like, holy shit, like these dudes are like going out and they're like stepping over him every time they're going like in and out. And I'm just like, wow, this is fucking insane.
They did something really great. At the beginning of the movie, they showed you what the house looked like in a picture. I remember. They show like a picture of the outside of the house with like kids in the street, like outside of the house. And then I remember at the end of the movie, there's a couple different times where they show these like still shots
of like the aftermath
of the road of the outside of the house. And it's just like I like that they gave you like a stark contrast of like, that's what it looked like beforehand. And it just so happened, again, feeling bad for the family and like that outburst from the father of seeing, like giving you what the house looked like afterwards. And you're like, they just picked that house. It wasn't like maybe they had done research and found that was going to be the best house, but like it didn't matter who lived there, like it just happened to be
we
them.
Need this house. Like I think they even said it like right when they were outside was, I like this house. Yeah. We're taking it.
It's like, that's nuts. Like, and I imagine for them, not the easiest to rebuild.
Oh no.
And I also loved like the very last shot once they leave in the tanks of them coming out into the streets and like just kind of looking around like on their side, it's kind of like we defended our shit, like, and they're like, all right, it's over, it's just quiet on the streets all of a sudden, like, and they're just like, nobody's talking. They're all just kind of like looking
like
around.
And they're like, all right, cool. They're gone.
Yeah. Like I like the like quietness of that, like finish. I think that I didn't, until I read that there was no score, it didn't really click to me that, like there was no like, there was the music at the beginning and the end, but besides that, nothing.
It clicked to me with the use of silence.
Yeah.
I mean, those times where you would typically have like tension building, like score, was just really just filled with silence, like deafening silence.
Let's take a look at reviews. Why not? So the movie's sitting at 3.7 stars on Letterboxd. I don't know where it's at for
7.9 on IMDb. Okay. 93 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Very good. Okay. Cinema scores 93?
Both.
Yeah.
Never seen the audience and the critics align on Rotten Tomatoes. Not too often, anyways.
I like of course, like the only negative reviews on Letterboxd are all like political crap, you know. People who are there for that or are saying that like they're villainizing other people for making it about politics, you know, like, and they're giving it low star ratings.
I'm seeing it, like the propaganda claims and all that.
Yeah. Oh, here's maybe a fun one. Let's try this real quick, okay? I've got 1 star from Natalie, and then a lot of different letters, numbers, and symbols. Her first thing is sucked balls. I thought Q&A with director could give some kind of insider depth, but they're both hacks with nothing to say. Navy guy said he wasn't trying to make it political. He saw his buddy's leg mutilated and chunked all over the floor, and he has nothing to say about the fact that they were exploited for politics. So yeah, here we are. Holy hell, military guys are really crayon eaters. This is nice.
Wow.
Yep. So this is where like the few times where I'm like Letterboxd comments might also be a cesspool, and it's not just either very funny or real.
2.5 stars from Mac. Putting the internet's favorite white twinks through war is exactly what cinema is all about, if you ask me.
Yeah. There you go. That's at least like that's a lighthearted take.
It's a funny one.
Yeah. For myself, I have not actually ranked it. I'm gonna put it at number 1 for the year. I'm pretty sure on the list for me. And it's probably going to come in at like 4 stars, I think.
That's exactly where it's at for me. Number 1, 4 stars.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm happy to have a movie break 4 stars finally for the year. That's awesome. Hopefully this is a start now of just a run of very good movies, and we got like Sinners coming up and stuff. Alex Garland seems to just pump out very good movies. Great for him. Keep up the good work. Will Poulter on just a heater of a run for me, man. Like just an all-out heater of a run.
There is one thing I do want to say real quick about the performance of this movie, though. They did all that on a $20 million budget, which I think is phenomenal. Yeah. I think a large part of that has to do with the fact that it's all one setting.
Yeah, and it's all real.
It's like all practical effects, and like whatever they destroy, they don't have to rebuild because they're filming in chronological order.
Do you have to imagine the flyover scenes are the only CGI?
Yeah, probably.
Like the show of force scene?
Yeah.
I don't know how they did the effect on the ground as much. Probably just heavy wind.
I'm sure there's a way.
Fans, stuff like that, you know. Okay, and how much is it made?
That's the tough part. It's only made $8 million worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't going to draw internationally. It's about
or actually, it has nothing international, so that's just domestic.
Yeah, I don't think it was going to draw internationally, anyways, because it's an American war film. Who cares internationally? It's a bummer that more people aren't getting out to see it. The good thing is, ideally, it's got like a 3-4 week run in it, and it can like 20 million is not a crazy amount. I do think this is something people should get out to the theaters if you do want to, like, if you wanted to see it, if you're into the genre and you want to get a good movie theater experience, it's one that's worth getting out to see it. If you have the proper home setup, I think it could be great too. But
I think you have more visibility on this, but how was the marketing for this pre-release?
I mean, I feel like we got, as it approached, a decent amount of trailers. I also feel like,
because I just remember seeing one trailer before a movie.
But even on like the Daily Show that I watched, they had 2 days, I think, before it came out, like ad reads for it. So I think that they got some stuff the last couple weeks. I can't say that I saw a ton of trailers, and I think
because with A24 being behind it, I feel like it should have been pushed more.
Well, I think that's where we did get trailers, but maybe only one variation on it. And truthfully, like, when I think on what the trailer was, I think they might have given you the explosion in like a couple things, but I don't even know if it would have sold itself properly. It's weird on how good It's weird on how good the reviews are, both audience and Rotten Tomatoes, that like it's not getting more people into it. Yeah, that's where I think it's kind of odd. I'm not shocked that it's not making huge money. I just thought on word of mouth, which is what A24 usually like. A24 is successful based on reputation more than anything else, I think.
And I thought it would at least broke even.
Yeah.
On opening weekend, but seeing it's not even half that is kind of tough.
Well, get out to the movie and see it. Help movies be successful, please. Yes. Because I want to keep getting stuff like this. And like we talk about original ideas, like this isn't like original in the sense that it's based on a true story, but like it's a take from a person's individual perspective in their brain that they created a story and a narrative out of and brought it to life. And I think that that's the stuff that we should keep driving to cinemas.
Yeah, like we've gotten war movies before, but I can forgive originality when it's done well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or lack of originality when it's done well.
So, yeah, let us know if you got out and saw it. Drop a like, comment, share, and subscribe on the video. Until next time, though, we bid you adieu.
Peace.
Peace.
For those with good taste.